We are here at Hack Season's conference at Devcon Week in Bangkok. It has been amazing so far. And here today, my guest is Vlad from Town S. We have met at ECC actually. You are part of the Token Engineering Network. We met because we discussed point systems, and I invited Vlad to give us an update here at Devcon on the latest and greatest in point systems. But before we do that, maybe Vlad, introduce yourself. What's your personal background and what's Tau Labs?
Sure. So, yes, we met in Brussels, and since then we've been talking about doing a bunch of stuff together. Always a pleasure to talk to you. My background is, in short, data science, analysis, financial services. I've been in crypto since 2015. It was always a hobby, which grew into a passion, which grew into something that I kept doing more and more of, and eventually it became my career. Um, more than anything, I wanted at one point to do research and analysis and be able to explain complex crypto stuff to people. When tokenomics started becoming complex enough, so around DeFi summer 2020, that was basically when I started being interested in token design and mechanism design. Up until then, you could argue it was tokenomics was mostly just allocations. And Tau Labs was born because I was a solo token consultant. I was a solo tokenomics consultant, and I just kept getting more and more demand, especially from DeFi protocols, up to a point where I realized that we have to have a more comprehensive way of doing tokenomics, coupling it with financial modeling, coupling it with doing math, but all sorts of systems that can be run at any time. And points go exactly in that direction.
Right, let's begin. Point systems.
Sure.
What are point systems? Maybe let's define it for those who might not know.
So, in short, they are effectively airline miles but on chain. Um, most DeFi protocols today are trying to quantify in various ways what their users do. Points are simply a way to do better airdrops. We had an era, especially in 2017, where airdrops were done simply off the basis of either randomly dropping tokens to wallets or doing certain activities that then warranted some airdrops. Protocols quickly realized that people really like farming these. And once you give an economic incentive to somebody to do something, they will maximize their potential outcome. And rapidly, this balloons, arguably with the advent of eigenlayer and restaking from 1 year ago. Effectively, these protocols needed people to lock Ethereum for a longer period of time, and the main the main tool that was used to gauge how successful a restaking protocol was and still is today has been through TVO. Therefore, giving points for basic activities like restaking, locking for a longer period of time have become standard. The main the main issue with them, however, was that at one point um, protocols started raising solely off the basis of points. This very rapidly ballooned into a bubble, and massive restaking protocols like Keto5 or Renzo found out that more points you give with higher and higher boosts, the more you dilute earlier investors. So on one hand, points are a great way to quantify what users do. They are great for any DeFi protocol. They are great for any GameFi protocol, any casino, any RWA, really anything that has an economic incentive. They're great to quantify exactly what users do and to be able to reward them exactly appropriate to their activity. On the other hand, they can become very complex very fast, and we've always seen that in our work. And they can also become from a means to an end to become the end itself.
Okay, and then let's begin here. First of all, you said this is a way, points are a way to quantify what users do. So I was always looking at points as a reward. So how do you quantify what users do using points?
Let's take a couple of examples, and let's start with the example that I always use to begin with because people understand it and because it's the easiest to grasp. As a casino, what do you want players to do? You want them to do two activities. You want them to wager, and you want them to wager repeatedly for longer periods of time. Come back every day. Therefore, giving points for volume of money wagered. It can be an hour, a day, a week. Amount of time, amount of games played. All of these two put together, you can already have a very, very basic point system where you quantify the amount of commitment that a player is giving to your platform and the amount of time. Therefore, you can rank users. And whenever you do a process or whenever you give rewards, and in the case of a casino, it can be on chain, so the token, or off chain, which can be extra games, credits to play blackjack to spin, and therefore guaranteeing or increasing the odds that your player stays inside. The same core principle applies to any games, any protocols, and the same core principle applies to off-chain businesses as well. There's a coffee shop that a lot of us go to for months on end, and there's the only one place where we go, for example. You're one customer. The fact that you always get some tiny reward every 10 copies you buy, you get one for free, etc., is something that builds up loyalty. It's human nature to want to receive stuff for free. No matter what your net worth might be, there's no better price than free. It also works with airlines very well. Or I travel a lot, so do you. I use Booking.com today, not affiliated with sponsorship, to buy my tickets and to buy my accommodations. The insane reductions I get on Booking that I don't get on Airbnb or other platforms are something that keeps me wanting always to, whenever I want to go somewhere, I want to see that if the destination is available on Booking. I want to see like my flight on Booking. Rewarding users that stay and giving them a variety of rewards will make sure that whatever economic system you have will function as a flywheel that works good in both ways, both for users and both for the project slash company slash work.
Good. Now, looking at the actual activities that we require users to do in order to accumulate and receive points, do you have any insights on how should projects choose the activities, given we are usually in early stage, right? So you might not have your final product, you might not have your final solution, it's early stage. So what are typical and maybe what are very good activities to reward the incentive?
Sure. So the answer is it depends, but I'm not just gonna leave it there.
Thank you.
You can otherwise why have this talk?
Yeah.
Done by now. Gonna make it at the link of the TikTok. There are active actions that you can incentivize. So I don't know, log in every day. Make sure you make at least 10 trades on our perp decks every week. These are active. You have to do them. Otherwise, you don't get points for them. There are also passive rewards, and this is where you look at what the user does when they come on your platform. Let's take the perp decks. People come to long or short an asset. They come to buy spots, or they come to use it however else. Daily logins, which are passive. If you are using it, you don't have to do anything to get points. Just have to make sure you connect your wallet every day. Then you use the cloud. A combination of rewarding active activities and passive ones is somewhere that we go. And there's another axis that we use, whereas incentivizing commitment. This can be amount of wager, like the previous example of the game, amount of ETH you put in the restaking protocol, volume that you trade based on your deposits if you're a perp dex. And the other end of the spectrum here can be over time. The more you are involved the more you're involved in the ecosystem, the more you will get rewards. But the commitment when it comes to time is linear. You will be committed for a day, then a week, then a month, then a year, etc. The effort that you do is passive, and it is linear. But the rewards you can get from here, increasing in points, can be exponential. And this always makes people double guess themselves whenever they want to move on to a different protocol. Oh yeah, I want this protocol I've been using for 6 months is great, but I want to use another one now. But all the rewards I accumulated there and all the bonuses and boosts I get for being longer, maybe I'll stay a bit longer.
I wonder, this sounds a bit to me that the actual activity is not so relevant in this early stage. It's rather building this loyalty. so that you get some kind of a login?
The answer is relatively simple, depending on what the nature of the project is. You can already realize what you want people to do on your platform. If you're a borrow lending protocol, you want people to deposit in pools, you want them to lend out assets, and you want them to collateralize assets against whatever loan they take out. So already these three. Your perf decks, like I said, you want people to log in daily and do at least like 1 or 2 trades a day, or a week, or whatever else you want. You already know whenever you build a protocol, you have an idea of a customer, you have an idea of the customer's persona, and what you want them to do. After that, you slowly change the amount of points, rewards that you give to users, seeing on how they behave. The Pareto principle dictates 80-20 rule that 20% of your users will be the source of 80% of your revenue on average. Incentivizing those big users is very important, but also making it worthwhile for the rest of the 80% to participate in is also essential to get that network effect that is needed for any successful platform.
And does Collab support your customers, the projects and protocols, in setting up the infrastructure to measure and understand who's behaving, who's at the 20%?
Yes, currently we help do points for now. I think of the 6 protocols we're working with, I think only one of them is not doing points, and the other 5, they're all very different. They're all doing point systems. And yes, we help them do all the math, all the planning. We use Monte Carlo simulations and random walk simulations to see how many points we would have given a set number of users, given an approximation of their deposits, comparing them to other protocols and seeing what other competing protocols have had in terms of users, in terms of activity, in terms of actions done. And we help projects do exactly pin out what the rewards need to be. It's a lot of data science work, and after that you get to the point of infrastructure where you build it up. But there's a lot of math and modeling that we do after that.
And what are key questions the projects ask when in the process of setting up a point system, and also what they'd like to see in the data?
They mostly trust us to build the entire thing. They're always curious because, of course, it's their own protocol that they're building for. However, they always ask us about airdrops and sequence. Like I said earlier today, the issue, there's a thing that people say in crypto now a lot, that points are dead or people are tired of points, and it is true, but it's not complete. People are tired of seasonal airdrops. People are tired of being farmed for every quarter, for every new TVL threshold. Because if you look at the amount of wallets that are farming points across chains, across projects, that number is increasing. More and more wallets are doing more and more activities to increase their chances of getting better outcomes. So, as data scientists, from a pure data perspective, points are only growing in popularity. However, the way that they are rewarded at the end is what has indeed been changing and what needs to change. This is the concern of most of our projects. Like, should we do seasons? How can we do them? And what happens after the what happens after the airdrop? And that's where we always work. That's where we make points be another reward layer that is consistent and that stays. This is what usually EtherFi calls it their forever season. And this goes down the path of programmatic reward, where you constantly quantify the behavior of the participation of every user in the protocol, and you reward them by balancing their commitment longer term with their incentives to get a reward now. A smaller reward now or bigger reward later, to make it very, very simple.
We started with token engineering. We met each other with token engineering. Now, many might ask, why coins and not tokens?
We mostly do tokenomics. We mostly do tokens. We are a pure mechanism design lab. We do utility, we do governance, we do financial modeling for all of these. It just so happens that projects we've been working with for the past 6-8 months have all been asking us to help them do points. And in the end, it's just moving numbers around. And we are, all 5 of us at Tal Labs are data scientists. And in the end, we have done so many models around these that we've garnered a lot of significant experience around it. We mostly do tokenomics, we mostly do token and utilities, but points are such a big thing now, and they are tied into tokens that we just took on doing that as well.
Not only we provide us our labs, but rather the client side. So what brought them to move to coins instead of tokens?
Better airdrops. You make users do activities and you quantify them by giving them points for the action that they do in order to see how to give a better airdrop that more meritocratically, let's say, shows the commitment of each user. The age of just random airdrops is not going to come back, hopefully. But projects want to understand their user before they launch their token, and they want to be able to accurately give their token to users based on their participation. Think about it in a different way. Every time you have a loyal user coming in and trading on your platform or playing there or depositing or staking or whatever, that is added value to the protocol. It makes sense to recycle a small part of that added value right back to the user in a form of a different way. How much, how often, and to how many is exactly the work that we are doing in that regard. If it costs, let's say, $2 to acquire a user, and they bring in $1 of rewards, you are already negative on that user themselves. But if they keep coming back month after month and bringing another dollar worth of value, that is awesome. That will make you break even after 2 months and profitable right after. However, think about you as a protocol behaving differently, whereas you can, in a healthy way, balance your treasury, give not $1 but $1.3 to that one user, and make sure that they come back and they stay. And doing this for hundreds of thousands, millions of users all at once. It is just simply more accurately calculating and quantifying the loyalty of each user and giving them rewards appropriately, which makes the rewards that the protocol gives more efficient. The experience that the user has better, they get more stuff in an environment that they're already loyal to, they're used to. And it makes the whole economic behavior between these two have a stronger foundation.
And I would claim you are in full control of the value of a point, right? Because you can, I mean, what users get in return, discounts, is under full control of the project. Whereas if we have token that might be price sensitive in the markets, this is much harder to control and manage.
Yes, very good point. That's why we encourage projects to give not only on-chain rewards, i.e. tokens, but also give off-chain rewards. This really depends on the nature of the project. For DeFi, it's more difficult because the whole nature of DeFi is capital efficiency. So fee reductions, lower latency. If it's a very big centralized exchange that wants to do points, this could be directions that you head into. For GameFi RWAs, it's much easier because you can give a lot of other loyalty bonuses, rare skins, free games, extra logins, etc. These really depend on the project. The reason why we work as a lab is because no economy is similar to another. They have some common basis points, but you constantly need to reevaluate and remodel user behavior for every week, every month, see where they're headed, see how they're trying to gain your
What can you give us some more insights on what kind of data do you track when it comes to understanding users? Certainly not only the wallet transactions.
So the on-chain data, like you said, is the easiest to track because you just simply see a wallet, what transactions they do, how often, and how they behave on reward events. So when their drops in. That is the easier part. The more difficult part is the off-chain being able to quantify the behavior off-chain. Because you gotta take into consideration social media accounts, logins, activity in other social channels. these move more to OS optimized campaigns. We have a colleague, 0xPxls, that has a lot of experience in this, and he actually works with some projects on in exactly this direction. But it really depends on each user. At its core, however, you need as a protocol to understand why your user comes to your protocol or your project, what they do, meaning do they come. Again, the example with the casino is the easiest. You have, do they come do they mostly come for blackjack, or do they mostly come for your polymarket type product? And you start quantifying from there. You start giving more rewards from there. We also use points for stuff like balancing tools that might be inefficient. For a borrow lending protocol, we have built an architecture where, in case a borrow lending tool does not have enough liquidity, the points you get for depositing in there exponentially go up as a boost, and then people would allocate more capital there to get more token share or increased revenue reduction. The answer is, again, it depends, but I did try and give as many examples as possible because it really depends on protocols, on users themselves. Is it only an on-chain activity? Is it on-chain plus off-chain? And what the reward structure is.
If anybody's interested to learn more about Tau Labs, where can we find you?
You can find us on. I'm sure you'll be able to show us all of our blurb, all of our links. We have our site, our soon-to-be new and revamped website.
What's the URL?
628labs.xyz. We will also have an animation right when you open the site that explains to you in 2 seconds exactly what we do, exactly the type of mechanism, exactly what we do. Our new pitch deck is out. Our social medias at 628labs on Twitter, on X, I'm sorry, Tau Labs on LinkedIn, and then you can hit me up on Telegram.